Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiowave, where captivating Chinese novel audiobooks await you. Subscribe now and join the adventure.
Chapter 16 Cruel. Chen Zhang and Mian quietly left the station and walked towards the door. As for An Xinling, she left the station last night, met with the police officers under her command, and went to the governor's mansion to set up the defense line. Zhao Yi, who was beside Qin Jun, glanced at the two who left quietly, but did not speak. Qin Jun had told him yesterday not to stop Chen Zhang. In fact, the lieutenant and Mian contacted yesterday hung up the phone and went to Zhao Yi to surrender himself. It is true that he is from the An family, but now that the situation in Zhongjing is so critical, who doesn't want to think of a way out? After all, the rise of the An family was too short, and it started to make a fortune only after An Feng came to power. It is incomparable with the Qin family, a real family with many generations of officials. It's just that An Mian didn't know all of this. When Chen Zhang and his party walked to the door, they saw the lieutenant, whose surname was Wang, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, and a loyal face. He was born in a rural area and managed to get into a military academy, but he couldn't afford to go to school because there was no tuition fee. When An Feng heard about this, he sponsored him to go to the military academy. After graduation, he entered the garrison military area under the care of An's family and became a lieutenant. It can be said that if it weren't for An's family, Lieutenant Wang might still be farming at home. Miss. Lieutenant Wang immediately came forward, nodded to Chen Zhang, and then looked at Chen Zhang with curious eyes. After all, Chen Zhang suddenly became so strong and mutated, which made the soldiers around him very shocked and curious. I've made arrangements. These people are my soldiers. Let's go. Thank you, Brother Wang. Lieutenant Wang showed a simple and honest smile on his face, nodded, and led An Mian and Chen Zhang out of the station. But Chen Zhang felt a little uneasy in his heart. Because it went so well. It went so smoothly that even he couldn't believe it. Although everything went according to his plan, Chen Zhang, who had gone through his previous life, was very vigilant, and the smoother he was, the more vigilant he was. There is no way, only being suspicious can survive in the last days. Chen Zhang asked An Mian, Xiao Mian, you didn't tell others what I told you yesterday, did you? An Mian heard that Suya hesitated for a moment for her plea yesterday, then nodded, I didn't tell anyone. Chen Chong didn't have any doubts, because in his heart, An Mian was a very simple person and would not lie to hide anything. However, he also found the amulet hanging around An Mian's waist. Chen Zhang's observation skills were very keen, and he immediately spotted the extra gadget. Xiao Mian, what is this? An Mian was a little panicked. She didn't expect Chen Zhang to be so observant. It's all been found. But An Mian still kept in mind the agreement she made with Suya, and said, a friend of mine gave it to me, and I haven't worn it before. Looking at An Mian's flickering eyes, Chen Zhang shook his head. But I didn't ask too much. After all, he trusted An Mian so much that An Mian would never harm him. Let's go. Ellipsis. In the military station, after an unknown amount of time, the golden light on Qin Jun's body finally slowly disappeared. The soldiers all around looked at him in awe. I just feel that he is like a god, with golden light, and some superstitious soldiers even think that Qin Jun is the reincarnation of a god. Qin Jun stared at his fingers. This must be the awakening of Chen Zhang's talent. And an extra memory popped up out of thin air in my mind, telling Qin Jun that this is an S-level talent, psychic control. Now, he is an evolutionary. Chen Zhang narrowed his eyes slightly and stretched out his fingers. The next moment, the chariot not far away was lifted by an inexplicable force and rose into the air. The soldiers were in an uproar. You know, this chariot weighs several tons. Several researchers stared wide-eyed, and murmured, impossible, this is impossible. This unscientific. Others looked at those old men with the eyes of fools. The FG Black Obelisk is out, what science are you talking to me about? You explain it to me with science. Perhaps it was because the changes in the past few days were too exciting, and people quickly accepted the power when they saw it. After all, even the zombies appeared, as did the black obelisk. It's no big deal if there is another supernatural power. Chen Zhang threw the chariot down casually. He couldn't help being a little out of breath, and even his nerves ached a little. His current body has not fully adapted to the supernatural talent. It will take at least a few days to fully adapt. And Chen Zhang looked at Suya again. A strange look flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect that Suya would also awaken her talent. But he didn't pay too much attention to it. No matter how Suya awakened her talent, it was just his plaything. At this time, Zhao Yi hurried forward, looked at Qin Jun with awe, and said in a low voice, "Master, according to your order, Chen Zhang and the others have already left." Qin Jun nodded with a smile on his face. Although he had just awakened the S-level talent, the more this happened, the more greed filled his heart. The S-level talent is so powerful, what about the SSS-level talent? At this time, an intelligence officer ran over and shouted, "Mr. Zhao, I just received the notification that the defense line in the blockade area is almost unable to hold on. Hundreds of thousands of people have gathered near the Zhongbei Bridge, trying to break through the line of defense." Quote. Everyone heard the words, and their expressions suddenly changed. Hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know how many people are infected with T-virus among them. And once the defense line is breached, it will be difficult to establish it again, and the zombies in the blocked area will definitely rush out. At this point, even if Zhao Yi listened to Qin Jun's words again, he couldn't help being impatient. He said to Qin Jun, "Master, the situation is out of control, you must go to the airport and leave Zhongjing immediately." He made up his mind that if Qin Jun still didn't agree, he would have to be tied up on the plane. Although the consequences of offending Qin Jun are very serious, if something happens to Qin Jun, the consequences will be even more serious, and his whole family will have to be buried with him. Hearing this, Qin Jun frowned tightly. Although he has awakened the supernatural talent, it still takes a few days to fully control this power. If the line of defense fell, it would be dangerous for him. But want to give up that SSS level talent seed? No. A trace of cruelty flashed in Qin Jun's eyes, and he said coldly to Zhao Yi, "Mr. Zhao, blow up the Zhongbei Bridge." What? Even Zhao Yi was almost stunned. You know, the Zhongbei Bridge can be said to be the only way out of the blockade, and there are still hundreds of thousands, even millions of ordinary people trapped inside. Blowing up the Zhongbei Bridge is just letting those people die. Chapter 17 Cruel Mercy. No matter how loyal Zhao Yi was to the Qin family, he couldn't help but hesitate at this moment. Blowing up the Zhongbei Bridge is tantamount to letting the people in the quarantine area die. That's millions of lives. Zhao Yi said hesitantly, "Master, it is conservatively estimated that there are millions of civilians in the blockade." Qin Jun's face was expressionless, and his eyes did not fluctuate in the slightest. Of course he knew what it meant to blow up the Zhongbei Bridge, which meant that the millions of civilians could only be devoured by zombies in despair. Moreover, there are still a large number of troops and police in the blockade area. They will all be buried with them. But so what? Qin Jun's eyes were full of indifference. To him, the lives of a million people were not worth that SSS-level gifted seed. As long as you can get the talent seed, what's the point of sacrificing millions? Qin Jun said lightly, "Mr. Zhao, haven't you figured out the situation yet? The end has come, and so has the age of the evolutionary. In the doomsday, those ordinary people have no value, they are ants and pigs. If you die, you die." Quote. What are you talking about? Some of the surrounding officers couldn't listen anymore, and angrily accused Qin Jun. Qin Jun looked expressionless and glanced at the officer. The next moment, the officer uncontrollably took out his pistol and aimed the gun at himself, with a look of extreme horror on his face. Immediately, gunshots rang out. The rest of the officers had shocking expressions on their faces, and their eyes towards Qin Jun were full of awe. At this moment, they were not only in awe of Qin Jun's background, but also afraid of Qin Jun's strength. Is this the evolution? Looking at Qin Jun's golden eyes, Zhao Yi's heart trembled. After the young master of the Qin family awakened his abilities, he seemed to be less human. Zhao Yi gritted his teeth and said, "Okay." He immediately turned around and ordered to the officers beside him, "Blow up the Zhongbei Bridge." The officer even started to tremble. Everyone understood that this would be an extremely cruel order. They are destroying the lives of millions of people with their own hands. But in the face of power, he has no choice but to carry out this order. Soon, the heavy weapons in the garrison began to activate, and the muzzle was turned to the Zhongbei Bridge. The officer pressed his finger on the launch button, but was unable to press it. Finally, he gritted his teeth and pressed the button. Boom! Flames were ejected from the muzzle, and a violent explosion occurred on the bridge deck of the Zhongbei Bridge, causing heavy casualties to the crowd gathered on the bridge deck. The terrified crowd retreated towards the back one after another, but the people behind were still pushing forward. I don't know how many people were squeezed to death and trampled to death. Cries of despair rose to the sky. Even military garrisons that are far away can hear it. But the shelling continued, and the artillery covered the entire Zhongbei Bridge. Finally, in the continuous bombing, the majestic Zhongbei Bridge began to collapse. In just a few minutes, I am afraid that at least 50,000 people were killed or injured. Seeing this scene, the people trapped in the blockade shouted in despair, "They blew up the bridge, and they want to trap us here to die. How dare they blow up the bridge, my God!" But no one dared to go back, because there were zombies everywhere in the blockade, and going back was courting death. I don't want to die. A person who can swim plunges into the river with a plop and wants to swim across the river, but the river is more than 10 kilometers wide, and it is simply impossible to swim across it. I don't know how many people were exhausted halfway through the swim, struggled and drowned to death. There are countless corpses floating on the river. Purgatory on earth. Even the soldiers couldn't bear to watch this scene, and lowered their heads one after another. But Qin Jun watched it coldly, without any fluctuations in his heart. Blowing up the Zhongbei Bridge also won him some things. He could hunt down Chen Zhang and get the SSS talent seed. As for these people who died, what does it matter to him? In other words, it's better to be dead, at least they won't turn into zombies anymore. Perhaps in a sense, this is also a kind of kindness. A brutal kindness. Qin Jun said indifferently to Suya who was beside him, "Where did Chen Zhang and the others go?" Suya glanced at her mobile phone, and based on the signal on it, she could tell the position of Chen Zhang at this time. "They're in Dongxing Building now." Dongxing Building. Qin Jun raised his brows. Dongxing Building was regarded as a landmark building in Zhongjing. He didn't expect Chen Zhang to go there. A smile appeared on his face. That being the case, let Chen Zhang explore the way, and he will decide on that SSS level seed. Otherwise, wouldn't these millions of people die in vain? Chapter 18 Expectation. Zhongjing, Dongxing Building. This high-rise building is not high, but it is one of Zhongjing's landmark buildings. Because this is where some of the top financial institutions in the world are located. Some people say that any one person in this building can affect the financial situation of the entire country. It can be said that in the past, it was Chen Zhang's dream to work in Dongxing Building. But first of all, there is no one in the Dongxing Building. The former financial elites are either trapped in the blockade or have fled Zhongjing. The majestic Dongxing Building has become deserted. And Mian clung tightly to Chen Zhang's side, her eyes were filled with admiration and love. As the situation got out of control, not only the zombies were rampant, but the order also began to collapse. Thugs are everywhere on the streets, smashing, looting, robbing jewelry and gold stores, robbing banks, and even blatant rapes on the streets. This is simply a nightmare. And Mian was terrified. Where had she seen these scenes? But Chen Zhang was very calm, even to the point of indifference. This is simply pediatrics in the doomsday era. In the apocalyptic era of the previous life, morality had collapsed beyond words, and it was not a problem to directly sacrifice one's body for a little ration. Chen Zhang had seen such a scene with his own eyes more than once. On the dirty streets, women almost greedily eat the nutrient cream made from cockroaches. Behind her, there were several or even a dozen men with smirking faces lined up. Even cannibalism is not uncommon in the last days. In the apocalyptic era, food shortages, etiquette and morality are vulnerable to hunger. Those thugs just now wanted to move against Mian. After all, although Mian wasn't very good looking, she looked like a wealthy daughter in her clothes. Torturing a wealthy daughter will give these low-level thugs an almost perverted pleasure. Of course, they were all solved by Chen Zhang. Although it is only the lowest level of F talent, Chen Zhang can be regarded as stepping into the threshold of an evolutionary. Now he is completely different from ordinary people. It can be said that he is a completely different species. Looking at the locked gate, Chen Zhang kicked the iron gate away. There were still a few unkind thugs staring at them. Seeing this scene, they all widened their eyes and shouted, "Ghost! Turn around and run." Chen Zhang and Mian walked into Dongxing building and went directly up the stairs to the top floor. Moreover, he had a few more minds, and before he had passed the first floor, he used brute force to distort and deform the door. Ordinary people couldn't open it at all. Just like that, the two reached the top floor of Dongxing building. "What is this?" Mian exclaimed, and saw a small vortex appeared in the very empty space on the top floor, as if it was a portal to another world. Chen Zhang looked at the portal with excitement in his eyes. This is a different space copy. After the apocalypse, not only the evolutionaries appeared, but the space in some places also began to distort, and the rest of the world overlapped with the real world, forming a copy of a different space. There are many extremely rare rewards in different space dungeons. For example, what kind of crystal nucleus? It can be said that this thing can be cultivated by the evolutionary, and it is extremely precious. But the more precious ones are undoubtedly the talent seeds. Different space dungeons are also divided into grades F to S. The higher the grade, the more dangerous it is, and the more precious the reward. This copy of the different space is S level, but it is special because although it is S level, it is almost not dangerous. It is simply a super gift package given by the gods to human beings. However, when this copy of the different space first appeared, human beings didn't know what it was, so they dared not enter it rashly. In the previous life, a lucky man named Zhou Zan was hunted down because he offended the leader of the mob and had nowhere to go. He entered this dungeon and got the SSS level talent by accident. Rising directly, he became one of the 10 most powerful evolutionaries in the world, known as Emperor Zhou by the world. Thinking about it, that Zhou Zan is really a son of luck, he is like the protagonist in a novel. But now that he is reborn, the SSS level talent is not his turn. Although he could be regarded as snatching the luck who was going around, Chen Zhang didn't feel any guilt in his heart. At the end of the day, it is to compete with the sky, the earth, and the people. If you don't fight, you are waiting for death. Now, it can only be said that it was bad luck. Chen Zhang pulled Mian and couldn't help laughing out loud. Ever since he was reborn, his nerves had been tense and he didn't dare to relax for a moment. He endured it for so long, he even did things like Qin Jun kneeling down. For this moment, Chen Zhang's heart was full of joy and anticipation. He was finally going to get the SSS level talent. The change against the sky started from this step. Immediately, Chen Zhang's eyes were filled with hatred again. So what if Qin Jun is an S-level talent? So what if the Qin family is the chosen family? Everything is meaningless in front of SSS level talent. Chen Zhang's eyes were full of anticipation, and he was very much looking forward to, when he got the SSS talent, he returned to Qin Jun's side again. What expression will Qin Jun make? On the street, military vehicles were galloping one after another. Seeing this scene, the thugs on the street thought that the army was here to suppress them. I was so scared that I ran away in a hurry. And those civilians who were being bullied cheered as if they saw a savior. The country did not abandon them. But soon, the smiles on their faces froze, because the military vehicles roared past without stopping. Because they are not here to maintain order, nor are they here to save people. It was to protect Qin Jun. Soon, the convoy stopped in front of the Dongxing building, and the soldiers got out of the car in full armor, Their guns were loaded, and they were murderous. Zhao Yi followed Qin Jun and got off the car. As the deputy teacher, he almost became Qin Jun's follower. But Zhao Yi also knew very well in his heart that Zhang Jing was doomed, and the way out was still like that of the Qin family. If he still wants to occupy the first place in the doomsday, he must hold the thigh of the eldest son of the Qin family tightly. Mr. Zhao, no one is allowed to enter this building. Anyone who gets close will be executed immediately. What Qin Jun meant was obvious, even civilians who strayed in would shoot directly. Yes. Zhao Yi nodded. Since the bombing of the Zhongbei Bridge, the moral bottom line of the deputy division commander has plummeted. 1 million people have been killed, and it doesn't matter if you kill a few more. A smile appeared on Qin Jun's face, and he looked up at Dongxing Building. I don't know what expression Chen Zhang will have when he sees him. He is looking forward to it. Chapter 19 SS's Level Talented Seed. After entering the copy of the different space, Chen Zhang and Mian came to a completely different place. This is a deserted city, and the tall buildings are covered with vines, as if time has passed by for decades. And Mian's eyes widened and she followed closely behind Chen Zhang. This is really amazing. This is actually another world. And this copy of the different space is full of the atmosphere of the future of the wasteland. With deer running between the cities, it seems that there is a strange sense of harmony. Chen Zhang walked very relaxed, although he didn't have the opportunity to make this dungeon in his last life. But after Zhou Zan made his fortune, some deeds have also become legends and are talked about by everyone. The details about this legendary dungeon also began to be revealed, and it became people's talk after dinner. The most threatening part of this S-level dungeon is some low-level beasts. In fact, these low-level zombie beasts should not be underestimated, at least they still pose some threats to the current Chen Zhang. But the risks and benefits of this point must not be worth mentioning. Almost free. Suddenly, there was a roar, and a red-eyed zombie wild dog rushed out of the shadows and rushed towards Chen Zhang and Mian. This zombie wild dog has rotten pustules all over its body, blood dripping from the corner of its mouth, and a foul smell blows towards its face. And Mian was so frightened that she screamed. This zombie wild dog is far superior to normal hunting dogs in terms of speed and strength. It poses a greater threat to ordinary people than zombies. However, Chen Zhang was not an ordinary person. Looking at the beast rushing toward him, his body moved suddenly, at an extremely fast speed, and an afterimage was drawn in the air. The next moment, the zombie wild dog fell to the ground, its neck broken by Chen Zhang. Chen Zhang was breathing a little heavily, feeling a little helpless in his heart. Although he has awakened his talent and his strength is far superior to that of ordinary people, he is still the lowest level F talent, and he can only maintain food and clothing in the apocalypse. The same is to struggle on the line of life and death. In his previous life, he just joined an expedition team, went through life and death, and it took several years to become a level 3 evolutionary. In the apocalypse, talents and resources are the last word. Chen Zhang looked at the corpse of the zombie wild dog. He knew that there should be crystal nuclei in the corpse of the zombie wild dog. In the Doomsday era, this thing is hard currency. However, Chen Zhang didn't go to get the crystal nucleus, but took in Mian directly to move on. Although the crystal nucleus is very precious, Chen Zhang's heart is already with the SSS talent seed. It's like saying that if a person wins a 100 million lottery ticket, will he stop because of a mere 100 yuan on the way to exchange it? Along the way, the two encountered many zombies and beasts, but they were all dealt with by Chen Zhang. Along the way, there are corpses of zombies everywhere. However, Chen Zhang couldn't help feeling a little bit now. Fortunately, he had awakened an F-level talent. Although the F-level talent is the most rubbish, is the body that adapts the fastest. He formed his combat power almost immediately, while Qin Jun has awakened his S-level talent, but it will take at least 3 days to get used to his talent. During these 3 days, Qin Jun's supernatural talent could not be fully utilized. I don't know how long it took, but the two finally came to the deepest part. In front of the two of them, there was a 1,000-year-old tree. This ancient tree was very huge, majestic, with a crown like a canopy, lush and lush. And before the roots of the ancient tree, there is a flower growing. This flower is completely different from the flowers in the real world. It is crystal clear, extremely bright, and emits fluorescence. And in this flower, there is a fruit. This fruit lies quietly in the stamen, exuding a golden light, and one will be addicted to it just by looking at it. So beautiful. This fruit is exactly the SSS talent seed that Chen Zhang dreamed of. It is also the most special talent seed. Talent devoured. The special thing about this talent is that it can devour other talents. It will become stronger without devouring a talent, and there is almost no upper limit. And Mian also looked at the talent seed, feeling a little envious. She didn't have any talent for awakening. Although she didn't say it on her face, she was still a little disappointed in her heart. After all, she also saw the changes in Chen Zhang, and awakening her talent was equivalent to having the power to protect herself in the apocalypse. Who doesn't yearn for extraordinary power? What's more, this is an SSS level talent. However, although in Mian's eyes were full of envy, she was not jealous at all, but said to Chen Zhang, "Go, Chen Chang." Chen Zhang nodded to Mian, and said seriously, "And Mian, in a short while, I will help you find a talent seed, at least A level." When Mian heard this, she was immediately elated and became happy. "Yes. Chen Zhang, I believe in you tilde." At this moment, a laugh sounded behind Chen Zhang and Mian. "Chen Zhang, I really want to thank you." Chapter 20 No way. Shocked, Chen Zhang hurriedly turned around, only to see Qin Jun's figure slowly appearing. Besides him, there were Xiehan and Suya, following him from left to right. As for Mian, Xiehan had already held a gun to his head. Qin Jun. Chen Zhang's face suddenly became extremely ugly. He never imagined how Qin Jun would appear here. Shouldn't he still be familiar with his abilities in the resident? How did Qin Jun find this place? For a moment, countless questions appeared in Chen Zhang's mind. In fact, from the very beginning, Chen Zhang was very vigilant. He deliberately chose a good time to leave secretly. Lieutenant Wang didn't believe everything either. After leaving the station, Chen Zhang took Mian and hid in a place to observe secretly for a long time, and found that everything in the station was normal and no one was following them. This is coming towards Dongxing Building. Moreover, along the way, he made many turns, all walking on small roads. While these cautions may seem fussy, some are persecuted paranoid. But Chen Zhang knew deeply that all caution was necessary. I am only one step away from changing against the sky. There must be no accidents. It can be said that Chen Zhang's arrangement is perfect. If there were no accidents, even if Qin Jun mobilized the entire garrison soldiers, he would not be able to find him. But Mian was that accident. From the moment Mian put on the amulet Suya gave her, all the arrangements made by Chen Zhang were just a joke. How come? Chen Zhang's heart sank to the bottom of the valley all of a sudden, and his expression was extremely solemn and ugly. A fact that he didn't want to accept was in front of him. This SSS level talent, he probably won't be able to get it. Even, the situation will be more serious. And Mian looked at Suya in disbelief, although she was very innocent. But not really brainless. Seeing this scene, she didn't know that she was cheated by Suya. She took out the amulet Suya gave her, and there was a GPS locator inside. And Mian stared at Suya, her heart was full of grievance and remorse. She pointed at Suya and screamed, "Suya, why did you lie to me? I trust you so much." And Mian was so wrong that she couldn't help crying. She felt so unfair, she felt so wronged. She never lied to Suya, nor did she hurt Suya, and she believed in Suya so much. She did everything Suya asked her to do. In the end, Suya was lying to her. Why? Why? How could Suya be so bad? Looking at Mian, who was crying with pear blossoms and rain, who was extremely sad and regretful, Suya's face was expressionless, and her heart was suddenly filled with a kind of almost abnormal pleasure. This Mian was so innocent and simple that it was disgusting. Does she think this world is a beautiful utopia? No, the nature of this world is cruel. And Mian is simply not suitable for living in this era. And what she did was just survival of the fittest. And Mian cried and said to Chen Zhang, "Chen Chong, I'm sorry, it's all my fault, Suya lied to me." Chen Zhang finally knew what was going on. He looked at the GPS tracker in An Mian's hand with an ugly expression. 100 secrets and one sparse. He didn't expect that Qin Jun actually started from An Mian. The simple An Mian could easily be fooled by Suya. No wonder Qin Jun was able to find him so easily. Chen Zhang clenched his fist tightly and almost gritted his teeth. It was only one step away from the SSS talent seed, but this kind of thing happened. All of a sudden, Chen Zhang felt great resentment towards An Mian. When he asked An Mian before if he had revealed his secret to others, An Mian said no, so he relaxed his vigilance. Why didn't An Mian tell him the truth? And Chen Zhang was also regretting in his heart. He knew that An Mian was innocent. But because of a moment of emotion, he still told An Mian the secret of his SSS talent. But what Chen Zhang hated the most was Suya, not even Qin Jun. Chen Zhang stared at Suya with murderous intent in his eyes. He used to love this woman so much, and thought that she was the kindest girl in the world. But he was wrong. Suya is a femme fatale, she doesn't miss old love at all. Kill him from the start. What to do? Chen Zhang's body trembled slightly. Even though the situation had reached this point, he was still unwilling to give up. His eyes suddenly shot brightly, and he rushed towards Qin Jun. Now there is one last solution, and that is to control Qin Jun. Although Qin Jun has awakened the S-level talent, he has not yet adapted to the talent. He has adapted to the strengthening of strength, and his current combat power is stronger than Qin Jun. This is my only advantage. As long as he can control Qin Jun, not only can he plant An Mian, but even the SSS talent seed is his own. Chen Zhang's speed was extremely fast. Although he had hunted so many zombies and beasts before, his physical energy was almost exhausted. But in the desperate situation, Chen Zhang still burst out his final potential. His figure dragged out afterimages in the air, which could not be seen clearly with the naked eye. Xie Han showed murderous intent on his face, and immediately drew his pistol and shot Chen Zhang again. But Chen Zhang's speed was too fast. Xie Han fired 7 shots in a row but missed, and in an instant he threw himself in front of Qin Jun, grabbing Qin Jun's throat. Qin Jun had no expression on his face, and he didn't even move to back away. But the next moment, Chen Zhang screamed. His right hand was suddenly bent in an extremely twisted posture, and was directly twisted off by an inexplicable force. The severe pain almost made Chen Zhang faint. Psychic control. How come? Chen Zhang had a look of disbelief. He never thought that Qin Jun would be able to use such terrifying psychic powers without fully controlling the S-level talent. Let him have almost no ability to resist. However, Chen Zhang is worthy of being a character who walked out of the mountain of corpses and blood in the previous life, and his mind is extremely clear. Turning around directly, the remaining left hand grabbed Suya's throat. Qin Jun, release An Mian. Otherwise, I will kill Suya. Qin Jun looked at Chen Zhang, and suddenly felt an unbelievable sense of humor. Chen Zhang, you don't think he cares about Suya's life, do you? Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiowave to stay updated with our latest stories and never miss out on a great listen.